Hello friends! Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bethany and today we're going to talk about all the books that I read in the month of May. Okay, I had a pretty good reading month in May. The month of May actually felt really long to me. I don't know if it felt like that to anyone else, but I read 12 books in May, which is quite a bit for me. I'm going to talk about the books from my least favorite to my most favorite, or my top three, because they're all kind of tied. The first book we're going to talk about is a 2-star book, unfortunately, and that is A Deadly Inside Scoop by Abby Collette. So I'm in the middle of making a cozy mystery vlog. I'm trying some cozy mysteries because I've honestly not had very good luck with them in the past, and as you can tell, didn't have a great time with this one either. So this is a cozy mystery following Wynn, who comes back to her hometown to reopen her grandparents' ice cream shop. I really liked the ice cream shop part. I liked the town. I liked Wynn and I liked her grandpa. He had a fun part in it. I just wish I had some more depth with those characters, and also the mystery was just boring for me and I had a hard time keeping up with the people in the town and who the characters were, even to the point that when they revealed who the killer was, I didn't remember who that was or like what their part in the story was. So this will be going in my unhaul box right now. Next, we are going to talk about 4 middle grade books that I read this month. And 3 of those were for the Bookathon Readathon that Keisha at A Book Like You hosted at the end of April, beginning of May. So I finished all of them in May. So I'll start with those just because that's kind of how my rating goes. So first is The Strangers by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I also did a Bookathon vlog, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about my feelings about these. You can go to that vlog and watch that if you'd like. I will link that below. So the first one is The Strangers by Margaret Peterson Haddix, and this is a spooky kind of sci-fi mystery middle grade, and I started out enjoying it. It's very fast-paced and definitely caught my attention. This is following 3 siblings who come home from school one day and see on the news that 3 children that have their names and their same birth date and ages are missing. And yeah. So they are immediately trying to figure out what's going on. Their mom is acting a little strange about it, and so I just didn't like where the ending kind of left off on this one. It is a series, so that's probably why I didn't like the ending, because I didn't really want to continue on in the series. I just wanted some closure and I didn't get exactly what I wanted as far as that goes at the end. So I'm also putting this in my unhaul box. I don't always want to unhaul like middle grade or children's books because I want to hang on to them just in case my kids might want to read them, but this was a little unsettling at times, and especially the like unreliable mother. So I was like, I don't really want to leave this laying around and my kids to start looking at me weird, you know? So I am gonna go ahead and unhaul this one as well. So I guess I should say that I rated it 3 stars, kind of generous 3 stars though. Okay, my next 3-star is this middle grade graphic novel, Misfit Mansion. So this is also in my Bookathon vlog. This was also a Read Like Keisha pick for this month because this is one of her favorite graphic novels. This is my first graphic novel, so it was just okay for me though. I don't think spooky middle grade graphic novels are my thing, but I definitely saw why Keisha loved it and like some of the messages and just sweetness of it. All right, now we're gonna get into my 4-star reads. So this is the group read for Bookathon, and it's The Edge of In Between by Lorelei Savaryn. And I really enjoyed this. Like I said, 4 stars. It's following Lottie, and this is a secret garden retelling. It does get a little spooky towards the end, but for the most part, it felt more like a fantasy or magical middle grade book. I really enjoyed it. It does handle the topic of grief, like that is a major theme in the book, and I thought it did it really well. It was also just beautiful. Like, this cover is beautiful and the writing matches the beauty in this cover. So I really enjoyed the writing, and I enjoyed how the topic of grief was handled, and I thought it was a really good story. Okay, my other middle grade 4-star is one that I have been reading aloud to my son over the past couple of months, and that is Adventures with Waffles by Maria Parr. This is a translated novel, I think Norwegian. Yes, we really enjoyed this. It got 4 stars from me because I was reading it aloud to my son, and I thought that it was just perfect for that. He enjoyed it. It was fun. It's following Trill, who's a boy, and his best friend Lena, who's a girl, and they live on this island. Just is mostly following their adventures and the trouble they get into, and it was just fun. It was like a really fun, heartwarming book for kids. My son really enjoyed it, and it did have some loss and grief in it. It had a little bit of talk about Jesus and faith. It was very like from the perspective of a young person though, and kind of funny at times. So I just thought it was really good for the age range that it's written for. Like, if I read this on my own, it probably wouldn't have been 4 stars, but because I was reading it aloud, that's what made it 4 stars for me. Next on my 4-star list is The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth. This was my second Read Like Keisha book for the month, and I also have a vlog talking all about this. This was kind of a roller coaster for me. This is a suspense family drama, very interesting, but it just kind of took me on an emotional roller coaster. So if you want to know more about that, you can check out the vlog. This is following 2 sisters. We're going back and forth from their perspectives, but it mainly is from the perspective of Fern, who has sensory processing issues, never officially diagnosed, but she is such a fun character, and that made this whole book for me. Like, Sally Hepworth did such a good job writing Fern as a character, and I will not forget her. So I really enjoyed that part of this story. All right, my next 4-star read is The Rom-Commers by Katherine Center. This book comes out this month, June 11th, and I did listen to it on NetGalley, and I started out kind of conflicted about it, just because of some of the things that were happening and some of the things that were being talked about in the book. So this one is about Emma, and she is taking care of her dad after an accident left him just needing full-time caregiving. And she is a screenwriter, and she gets an opportunity to go work with like a really famous popular screenwriter on a rom-com, because he doesn't normally write rom-coms, and he's tried and it's really terrible. And so she gets this opportunity to go work with him. She is kind of like a fangirl for him, and that part in the beginning was kind of weird because she was like obsessed with him, and when he met her, he was not very nice at all. And then they were also like living together in his mansion while they worked on this project. So yeah, him being a jerk was not fun for me. So I didn't really enjoy that in the beginning. The conversations that they had, this is considered a closed-door book, but they had some conversations around that topic that made me a little uncomfortable and were just kind of awkward. Like, they had just met each other and the conversations that they were having were a little weird. There's also language in this book. So anyway, all that to say, you're probably wondering how I made it to 4 stars in the end, but Katherine Center just has a way with writing romance. For me, I just fall for it, like, every time. There's actually only been one time, which is the book I read last month, that I wasn't that into the romance, but this one, I don't know how she did it, but she totally made me believe it, and I actually really liked the romance part of it. There are definitely problems I had with it, so that's why it's not 5 stars. One of the other issues that I kind of had with it was there was drinking in it, drinking kind of like as a way of coping, and I did not appreciate that. Also, there were some like results from the drinking and the way that they behaved that I did not like. So I don't know that I would necessarily recommend this book, but I did enjoy it, so I don't know, that's a tough one for me. I will tell you all the things that I did like other than the romance. I really liked the depth of Emma's story and Charlie's, really, but I just connected more with Emma. I thought there was good anxiety rep in there. I also liked like the caregiving aspect and her kind of guilt and anxiety surrounding caregiving, and just like the burnout from that. I thought that was done really well. I really liked her dad. I thought he was just a really good character and had some really good quotes in there from him. There was also a little cameo from Jack Stapleton, who is the main character in Katherine Center's The Bodyguard, so that was fun. So that's why I was kind of really torn on this one, but I ended up just landing on 4 stars because I have to admit that I had a good time reading this. So okay, now we get to talk about 5-star books. The first one on this list is The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. So I didn't actually rate this on Goodreads, but I'm putting it in the 5-star section because this is such a good story. This is like a memoir from Corrie ten Boom, who, if you don't know who that is, her and her family, her dad and her sister, during World War II, and they hid Jewish people in their home. And so this follows their story. The faith content in this book is so good. It surprised me how much it is about her sister, actually, and her sister's strong faith. And I mean, it was almost unbelievable at times, but so inspiring, and it really inspired Corrie. And I really, really enjoyed it. There were some slow parts for me, but that's why I had such a hard time rating it, and why I decided not to rate it, because I do struggle with rating memoirs sometimes because it's people's story and I don't want to like rate their life. I don't know. I checked it out from my library and read that, and I also listened to the audio, and then just last weekend Chrissy from Chrissy's Purple Library sent me my own copy of it. So there's her note inside, and I'm so thankful because this is a book that I want to keep in my house. I want to reread it. I want my kids to read it, my husband to read it. Like, it's so good. I did read this as a read along with Krista from Books and Jams. So there are some videos on her channel where there's discussion about it. I actually need to catch up on those because I did not make it to either one of those live because I had things going on. And I've only watched some of the first one, so I need to finish watching those, but I definitely recommend this book. Next is My Phony Valentine by Courtney Walsh. And this is the very first book that I read in May, and like I said, May felt like such a long month. So when I got to the end of the month, when I was looking at my list of books, I was kind of surprised that this was 5 stars because it didn't really stick with me very much as far as the story goes. But then I kind of started to remember why I ended up rating it 5 stars. So one of the things is I feel like the timing when I read this, I just really needed a comfort, romantic, sweet book. That is what this was. This is following Poppy and Dallas, who's a hockey player, and they are fake dating. And I loved Poppy's family. That was one of my favorite parts. Her sisters, her parents. I love just like a good family rep. Like, that's awesome. There's sign language in this book. Poppy's dad is hearing impaired, so they use sign language in their home. Dallas starts using some sign language, and I loved that part of the story. It is also written in first person and just a really easy read that I feel like I said, was the perfect timing for when I needed it. Just a quick, easy, feel-good story. And so I will be reading more from Courtney Walsh because I really appreciate her providing that kind of a story. When, you know, there's so many books out there that are not clean and are, you know, just always want to like throw a bunch of heavy topics at you. I just loved that this one was sweet and entertaining. Now we are going to talk about my 3 top favorite books of the month because I really can't pick between the 3 of these, and they're all so good, and I just love that I had so many good books this month. The first one is In This Moment by Gabrielle Meyer. This is the 2nd book in the Timeless series. This was a carryover for like the past 2 months, and so I want to tell anybody out there who has yet to read the Timeless series that if you're feeling like it's slow in the beginning or kind of hard to keep up with the timelines, just keep going. I think that happened with the first book too. Actually, with the first book, I ended up rereading some of the first few chapters just to like make sure I got all of the information. But man, once you get into these stories, they just capture your heart, and they're so good. So I highly recommend this. This is a Christian historical fiction time travel. The main characters are born with this ability to time cross, so they wake up one day in one time period and the next day in another time period, and it is so good. All right, the next 5-star favorite book of the month is The Nature of Disappearing by Kimi Cunningham Grant. And Kimi Cunningham Grant is officially my favorite author. She wrote my favorite book from last year, which was These Silent Woods, and I think I've decided that that is currently my favorite book of all time. The Nature of Disappearing did not top that one, but it was definitely so good. So The Nature of Disappearing is following Emlyn, who is like a fishing and hunting guide, and she lives in an Airstream. She's kind of keeps to herself. She has a few friends. One of them is an older woman who they call Rev, who hosts like church in her home, and I loved that little piece of this book. Her books are not classified as Christian fiction. They're not from a Christian publisher, but there are usually some faith tie-ins. So there's usually like a side character with a strong faith, and I absolutely love that about her books because I think it's so approachable for non-believers. It's easy. I think it would be easy to read from an unbelieving perspective, but I love that little part sprinkled in there. So anyway, so Emlyn has kind of ran from her past. She has kind of fallen away from a friendship with her friend Janessa, even though they still talk sometimes. And she also, in that friend group, was dating a guy named Tyler, who there was like a big end to their relationship that's kind of a mystery, but you kind of learn about it over the book. She sees on the news that Janessa is missing, and Janessa is like a van life influencer. So she's traveling with her boyfriend, living in this van, adventuring, and she goes missing. And so Tyler, who's the ex-boyfriend, shows up and tries to get Emlyn to come with him to go find Janessa because they were all close friends. So so she ends up doing that, and you're kind of learning about Emlyn over this trip. So you're learning about her childhood, about the dynamics of that friendship with Janessa, about the dynamics of that relationship with Tyler, and it was so good. I did not see the twists coming. I just loved it. I loved the atmosphere. That's one of my favorite things about Kimi's writing, is the atmosphere, the woodsy settings, the nature, just how she describes things. I absolutely love it. This one I also listened to through NetGalley, so it comes out June 18th. I've already pre-ordered it a long time ago, so I'll definitely be getting a copy of it and rereading and annotating and doing all the things. So I'm so excited about that. I also want to mention that there is definitely some drug abuse and drug use talked about in this book, so just want to mention that. Okay, the last book that we're going to talk about is Della and Darby by Susannah B. Lewis. And I loved this book so much. I thought it was perfect that I read this book in May for the Southern Charm Readathon because it just has the Southern small town feeling that I loved. I'm from kind of a small town, and I felt like this was so accurate and realistic as far as just the dynamics of living in a small town. So this is following two sisters, Della and Darby, and their grandma who raised them, and her name is Birdie. And we're actually going through all three of their perspectives, so we get a chapter from each one of them. And I just had so much fun with this. They were so relatable. Della, they're so different. So Della is, I don't know, she's like kind of a perfectionist. She is a little judgmental. She like lets her imagination get the best of her. There were a few times where I was like, whoa, Della, what are you doing? Because she, I don't know, she just gets a little out of control, and you'll have to read it to see. It just felt like home, like, and it was so, it's just such like a humble, cozy story. Like, it felt like my grandma's house. Like, I don't know, it was just, I loved it. Darby is such a sweet character. She's very shy and introverted. So I tabbed it. This is like the best I've ever tabbed a book. And I had like laughing tabs, I had sweet or romantic tabs, I had Southern sayings tabs. Okay, so one of the Southern Charm Readathon prompts is Heavens to Betsy, and Birdie, the grandma, says that all of the time. Like, I lost track of how many times she says that in this book. I just loved it so much. I really appreciated the just normal life of this book. Like, they just were so normal and relatable. They live in this small town. Della is working as like the office manager for like the office manager slash receptionist for like the local doctor's clinic. Darby works like in a factory and she really likes it. She just enjoys that. And I thought that is so neat to have like such a relatable character, who she's just like, yeah, I work in a factory. I put these like things together and I enjoy that and I'm okay with that and I'm content with that. And I loved that about her so much. Yeah, this book, guys, I just want to hug it and I think everyone should read it and I hope you all like it. All right, friends, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for being here. For all of you who've subscribed, thank you so much. I just love that we get to have this community and chat about books, and I'm so glad that you're here. So please leave me a comment below. Tell me what your favorite book in May was, or anything else you want to talk about. Just leave a comment and I will see you down there and chat with you, and I will see you in another video soon.